Pavel knew that returning to his hometown would not be easy. When he left 20 years ago, he swore he would never return. But now, after his parents' death, he needed to settle the inheritance matters. The town greeted him with gloomy autumn grayness, and it seemed that nothing had changed over the years. One memory that haunted him was the old abandoned hospital on the outskirts of town. As a child, he and his friends often played in its vicinity until that terrible incident occurred. One of their friends, Andrei, disappeared without a trace. Since then, the hospital was considered cursed. Pavel couldn't shake the thought that he needed to go back there and find out what really happened. One evening, after much contemplation, he made up his mind. Taking a flashlight and a camera, he set off for the abandoned hospital. The hospital stood shrouded in fog, looking even more sinister than in his memories. Its windows were shattered, and the walls were covered in graffiti and moss. Pavel crossed the overgrown yard and entered through the partially collapsed door. Inside, everything was covered in dust and cobwebs. Old medical instruments and furniture lay scattered on the floor. The flashlight's beam revealed eerie scenes: rusty beds, overturned gurneys, old X-rays. Pavel felt fear gripping his heart, but he kept going. The walls were covered in writings made in different handwritings, as if people tried to leave messages before their deaths. Reaching the second floor, he heard a strange rustling. The flashlight revealed a silhouette. It was an old doctor's coat hanging on a door. Pavel entered and found that it was an old operating room. Instruments lay on the table, as if someone was preparing for surgery. He began examining the scattered documents and found old patient records. Among them was Andrei's file. Pavel felt his blood freeze. The record stated that Andrei had been admitted to the hospital a few days before his disappearance. He underwent surgery, but something went wrong, and he died on the operating table. But his body was never found. Pavel continued his search and soon came across another record. It spoke of strange experiments conducted in the hospital. The doctors tried to treat incurable diseases, but their methods were extremely cruel and unethical. Patients often died, and their bodies disappeared. Pavel began to realize that the hospital was not just a medical facility, but a place of horrifying experiments. He continued exploring the building and soon discovered an underground level he hadn't known about. Descending a narrow staircase, he found himself in a labyrinth of corridors and rooms. In one of the rooms, he found shelves with jars containing preserved organs and body parts. Pavel felt panic engulfing him. He began to understand that the hospital hid far darker secrets than he could have imagined. As he moved further, he heard faint moans. The flashlight revealed a figure sitting in a corner. It was a person chained up. Pavel approached and saw that it was one of the old patients who had miraculously survived. He began telling Pavel about what had happened there. The doctors, having lost their sanity, conducted experiments on people, trying to create the perfect human. Pavel helped the unfortunate man free himself, and together they began searching for a way out. But the hospital seemed unwilling to let them go. The corridors changed and doors closed on their own. They felt trapped. Finally, they managed to find an exit to the surface. Pavel and the surviving patient ran out of the building and headed towards the town. But the fear and horror of what they had learned would stay with them forever.